days at the stick. From who's got it better than us to brick by brick. It's always the 49ers way, from off-season to game day. Yeah, we talk back. It's the 49ers Cutback.
It's 49ers Cutback Podcast time, Alex, and what an exciting game. The way that this game got started, Shannon decided to unveil the plan. Absolutely.
It was, but for some reason, Ant, your mic not picking up the way it's supposed to be right now. So give us 1 second, folks. We'll be right back. We're going to check the audio real quick one more time.
Well, it's 49ers Cutback Podcast time again.
Officially,
yeah. Unfortunately, a little bit of a mic issue there.
I don't know why. I don't know why it keeps happening, but it is what it is. Look, we got a little bit of things to talk about. We want to give some instant reaction because a lot of things just happened, didn't they, Ant?
Yeah, 100%. This was a wonderful game. The first half was so exciting. The Shannon plan was in full effect. I did not think he was going to go out there and show it right away, but he did. He went ahead and started, putting these guys in at different parts of the game. It was exciting. It was fun. And Jimmy Garoppolo was able to keep in rhythm. Trey Lance was able to keep in rhythm throughout the time that they were sharing snaps. It looked great. Yeah, this was exciting. Overall, it was just fun to watch.
Oh, 100%. It was tons of fun to watch. There was a lot of great things that happened and went on in this game, top to bottom. So before we get too far into our instant reactions on this, make sure right now you hit that like button, smack that thing into oblivion, hit that subscribe button. If you haven't already, become one of the newest members to join the Cutback Crew community by joining the channel as well, or hop on over to the Patreon. That way you get your weekly doses, right, of a Cutback in Time, Big Yikes, which is coming this week. You don't want to miss out on that, as well as all 22 breakdowns coming just around the corner. But Ant, a lot of fun stuff that happened.
Yeah.
We got to start with the big thing that came out of this game. And it isn't the Shannon plan. It's not the Shannon plan because we can save that for, another episode or maybe our recap show tomorrow. The biggest battle coming into this, some people would have argued, was the wide receiver room. After today, how do you make a decision at the running back room for the 49ers?
You know what? I think it's kind of played out now. I actually think that they have 5 really good running backs to go along with Juice, and they're not going to be able to keep all 6 of them. So we're going to have to make a hard cut, and I think that today made it clear who those guys are going to be. I think that now it looks like Wayne Gallman is on the outside looking in. He didn't look as explosive as the other guys. Yeah, Elijah Mitchell had some, blunders as a guy that hasn't played very much in the preseason. He was definitely making some mistakes, jumping off sides and that, but the explosiveness, the way he's able to break tackles, the fact he was finishing runs, and then he went ahead and just started being a good player on special teams. He had the good on the kick coverage, and then also a kick return, which makes him a very valuable member of this roster. So he is not going anywhere. And then JaMycal Hasty absolutely looked fantastic, explosive. There's no way you're going to let this guy go at this point. So Wayne Gallman, unfortunately, it looks like is on the outside looking in. And this running back room is explosive, dynamic, with a lot of vision and a lot of young players. And Raheem Mostert looked pretty great, too.
Yeah, Raheem Mostert looked pretty good. I feel really, really bad for all of the running backs because no matter what happens, no matter what direction Kyle Shanahan decides to go, there is a good running back who's not going to be on this team, and there's a really good chance that one of these running backs may not even be on the roster by the time Jeff Wilson Jr. gets back and is healthy and ready to go.
Yeah.
That's the scary part about all of this, is that you're going to end up losing 2 of these guys in some way, shape, or form unless an injury happens and you're able to put one of them away on IR and then Jeff Wilson's able to come back, right? And you go from there. I don't want to make this decision. I really don't. This is one of those times, right? We had jokingly discussed and talked a little bit about, expanded NFL rosters. I really wish that we had an expanded NFL roster right now. 16-man roster would be great because we don't have to lose any of these guys in that case or that scenario. But here's the thing. We had our position battles, and we talked about Wayne Gallman, and we talked about, right, Hasty, JaMycal Hasty, which guy was going to make it. And we talked about Hasty having a big hill to climb, right? There was a huge hill to climb because he had to show some explosiveness, right? He had to show an improvement in his running style from the previous year as a rookie, where we saw some of the shiftiness, but the explosiveness as a runner, it just wasn't there. It wasn't there yet. He wasn't comfortable enough. He's shown it. He's 100% shown it. You can tell the difference between the times JaMycal Hasty gets the ball coming out of the backfield, the way he shoots through holes, the jump cuts, after being as explosive as he is and as quick as he is to the hole, the jump cuts out of it into open space to make big runs and big plays. Gallman doesn't have that. He doesn't have that ability. Gallman is a great runner, but he's not an explosive runner. He's a physical runner. He's downhill. If he tries to get to the outside, he can't really turn those into big plays. Hasty got a jump cut in, got a seam between 2 defenders and took it to the house today. He demonstrated it. Elijah Mitchell in the kick return game looked really solid as well. He had a great return today as well. So now you're sitting here going, well, this guy can kick return. He was out there on kick coverage as well, the opening kickoff of the game, right? Gets down there and makes a big stop to set the tone for him early in the game. Yes, he looked a little rusty in the run game early, but he very quickly cleaned that up and looked, again, serviceable. This is a guy who can do a lot of different things for this team, and because he can do a lot of different things, this leads me to believe in the same thing that you're believing right now and that you're thinking, right, is that Gallman went from a guy that we thought was pretty secure very early on in camp. At times, he was operating with the ones and coming in for Trey Sermon on short down situations. Kyle Shanahan may be willing to roll the dice with these 2 younger guys, knowing that you have Jeff Wilson coming back who can fill that role 6-7 weeks into the season.
Well, 100% he's going to roll the dice with these younger guys because they're explosive and they can make plays. Both of them can catch the ball in the backfield. Both of them finish runs. What hurts Wayne Gallman is the fact that Trey Sermon can do the things around the goal line that Wayne Gallman can. And then JaMycal Hasty and Elijah Mitchell have proven to be more explosive than Wayne Gallman because Wayne Gallman doesn't have the speed to be able to jump cut and get outside and make a play on the outside of the formation outside of the play, where the other 2 absolutely can. Wayne Gallman is a better inside runner than them right now, but I think that these 2 guys just prove to be too explosive to let them go because there's still development for 2 young players. You go ahead and keep those young guys knowing that Elijah Mitchell or JaMycal Hasty is your 4th running back, and you're okay with one of them coming in that type of situation. It means Trey Sermon and Raheem Mostert will get the bulk of the carries around the goal line, where I thought Wayne Gallman could have been very successful. But, I mean, it's nothing against Gallman. I think any other year Gallman makes this roster, And I think Gallman matches up pretty nice against a lot of other running back rooms. It's just not this one. They drafted 2 running backs in this draft. You can't move off these 2 guys. They're too good. And then you couple that with the fact you brought in JaMychal Hasty last year as an undrafted free agent. He's looked great. And Raheem Mostert is just absolutely explosive. You're right. There's going to be another huge problem and hurdle to get over when Jeff Wilson Jr. wants to come back. They're going to have to make a huge decision then. Who are they going to let go? I don't know if they can. So I think I guess wisdom would kind of say one of these guys is probably going to get nicked up when that happens, and then Jeff Wilson Jr. will come in and they'll be okay. But yeah, I think ultimately that's what happened to poor Gallman, is that these guys just are too explosive for him. But he's going to land somewhere, and he's going to have a very good season, but he won't make it to the practice squad.
I don't think he will either. And this was we talked about this a little bit, and I don't want to get too far into it and too deep into it. But the Niners could still make a move and make a trade, and there are a couple teams whose running backs got dinked up and injured. Could Gallman be a potential trade piece?
Yeah, he could. I think 100%. You take phone calls. I mean, you're putting it out there. Hey, we have a very good running back room. We're going to move off from one of these guys. The problem is everyone knows you're going to move off from one of these guys. The only hope you have is that you think you have a commodity that a lot of people are going to want, and in that case, a team might feel that they're afraid they're going to miss out on him. If they're going to miss out on him, then they're going to go ahead and give up, some sort of draft capital to make sure they secure him. I don't know if he's a replacement for J.K. Dobbins in Baltimore. I don't know if that is the case. They are a different style of runner.
Definitely.
But what they do in Baltimore, I mean, with an inside run game like he could do, he could definitely fit in there. But I don't know if they're going to make that move. I mean, if I was the Jets, I would be calling to try to get one of the 49ers running backs because, ultimately right away he could step in and fill a role in that offense because he already knows the offense now.
It really comes down to just how they feel about, a guy like Ty Johnson over there who's been taking a bulk of their reps for the Jets. If they're absolutely in love with a guy like Ty Johnson, then maybe they're not as inclined to make a move because they got Tevin Coleman, you got a guy like Ty Johnson. But I just don't see any depth behind those 2 guys. I know there's a lot of talk about LaMichael Pirine over there doing some great things for them, and he has had his moments and his flashes, but he's been a very, very inconsistent player in the NFL, and he's been injured for a good chunk of training camp. So you didn't really get to see him a whole lot in this new look offense. So unless he did something in practices, I don't know. But
yeah.
It's definitely going to be interesting.
It is. I think this was never going to be an easy decision, and it's definitely not an easy decision now, but I think it got a little more clear in this football game. It's been trending this way in the last couple weeks. Elijah Mitchell coming back from the abductor, just put it over the top, and the fact they used him and Ambry Thomas in the return game means they were looking and evaluating different returners in case they need to move off. So everyone that was kind of on the Simba or Travis have to make this team. Now neither one of them really have to make this team because they've proven they've got other returners in other areas that maybe you don't have to keep an extra wide receiver.
Agreed. You don't have to keep an extra wide receiver. Simba Webster, big trouble now. Not likely. Everyone who's saying wide receiver 6 right there because of the special team stuff, highly unlikely at this point in time. But there are other guys and other names in the wide receiver room that potentially could do something. Jalen Hurd being obviously one of them. Jawan Jennings comes out, had a big drop in the red zone that wasn't good for him, but then bounced right back immediately after that and caught a bullet laser from Trey Lance over the middle. That was an impressive grab from him. Jalen Hurd goes out there, not only stays healthy, but makes some big catches, has some nice plays. I get it. He had a drop or 2. People are a little worried about that. One of those drops I'm not going to put on him, the one over the top with the defender right in his – the defender got his hand on the ball. If that ball gets laid out in front a little bit more, Jalen Hurd's able to make a bigger play.
It was a pretty nice pass, but it's a tough play to make. You want Jalen Hurd to make that play. He didn't make it, but look at all the other things he did in the game, right? And the way that Kyle Shanahan was using him, the fact that he ran the ball, or that they faked the run to him when Trey scored his first touchdown. The window dressing was there. Everyone was buying the fact Jalen Hurd could get the ball. They ran a tunnel screen to him. They ran a fly sweep to him. They got him the ball in space. He was definitely a part of the game plan. Kyle Shanahan gave us a glimpse of how Jalen Hurd is going to be used. He's going to be on this football team. He's 100% making this 53-man roster. I don't even think it's a question now. I think now the question is, who is the other guy joining him? Is it Jawan Jennings, Travis Benjamin, Simba Webster? I'll keep Webster's name in there even though I don't think it's him. I think it's between Jawan Jennings and Travis Benjamin. And the real question is, do you want Jawan Jennings, who's another big physical receiver that can catch balls and convert third downs, or do you want Travis Benjamin, who can absolutely explode and take the top off the defense, which we saw at the end of the first half where he got the pass interference call because he got deep. And even before that, when he got another pass interference, he had beaten the guy into the inside and Trey tried to fit it in there. which would have been a great play if they would have made it.
Absolutely.
But I think you saw that explosiveness as something that's missing a little bit from the 49ers offense, minus Brandon Ayuk. Everyone else doesn't have quite that explosiveness that Travis Benjamin has. So it's an interesting situation whether they choose a possession receiver or a guy that can take the top off.
Correct. And look, Trickster, you just brought it up, and Luke had brought it up a little bit earlier, and so did JLE. That Benjamin, went out with what looked like some sort of head injury. We don't know what that is yet. Obviously, Kyle's going into a presser right now. We'll probably get a little bit more information. Could be concussion stuff. Could be nothing at all. Could have just took a shot, and then they're just like, you know what? We're not going to worry. We're not going to do any more. We've seen enough out of you. Let's get some of these other guys out there and try and make the decision on this wide receiver room. It was always going to be a tough battle for Travis Benjamin to make this roster.
Yep.
It's not going to get any easier. Juwan Jennings did enough today to, again, push himself, I think, back into that conversation again. Jalen Hurd, you and I both kind of felt this was the case, right? Kyle Shanahan's been reiterating it and regurgitating it all week that this guy is one of our best 6 wide receivers. He just needs to be on the field and be healthy.
Yeah.
On the field, healthy. So looks like he's going to be on this roster as well. So it's just going to be a matter of, what route Kyle wants to go with number 6.
Yeah, it does. And you know what? It's going to be an interesting thing, but when it comes down to the concussion, if it is a concussion for Travis Benjamin, there's 2 weeks before the first game.
Got plenty of time.
He's got plenty of time to get in and out of concussion protocol, so that's not going to be the decision that ultimately, is made on him. So if he was going to make this roster, he's going to make this roster. And until he wasn't. It's not going to be an injury for him or Juwan Jennings that, decides who makes this and who doesn't. I think the bigger question the 49ers have to ask themselves is, which one of those guys do they think they can sneak to the practice squad? And I don't know which one it is. I think it's really up in the air, but they're going to make that decision, and they're going to live with it. But how do they see this offense constituted with these receivers? I think it's going to be an interesting conversation for us when we do Project 53 of which one of these guys is going to make it. Because unlike the running back room, where I think it got a lot more clear, it definitely didn't get more clear in the wide receiver room.
No, it didn't. But you had talked about, Ant, how Kyle Shanahan, went about his business today, right? Getting certain guys the ball in space, really, trying to get a look at some of these guys and put them in situations to be successful. And we saw that throughout the first quarter and almost half of that second quarter, right? The Shanahan plan not only being in full effect, but essentially every time there was a first down, these two guys flipped. And I immediately hopped onto Facebook and hopped onto Instagram and to Twitter just to see instant reaction from people. And the reaction was so over-the-top crazy in terms of Shanahan really doesn't want Trey to outshine Jimmy. Shanahan seriously can't decide between Jimmy and Trey Lance. Shanahan clearly doesn't trust Trey in the red zone. It's like, that's not what's going on right now. That's not what's happening. What's happening is the execution of this plan of utilizing both of these guys' strengths to put them in positions. That second down and long where they brought Trey Lance in, right? Jimmy throws an incomplete pass on first down. They bring Trey Lance in on second and long, and I was like, okay, let's see what happens. Brought in a nice big wide receiver package, right? 4 wideouts with the running back. They go the nickel package, then run a nice stretch read option play, right, with Raheem Mostert. He gets around the edge and gets the corner, gets 12, 15 yards, puts Jimmy right back in. It's like, yeah, you put personnel and pieces out there to see how the defense is going to react, right? You have your base play that you're going to run. They give you the look that you want to run, and you're going to go out there and execute. It becomes very, very hard. And pretty much every read option play, the Raiders stayed home early, right? Every read option that the Niners ran against the Raiders early on, they stayed home. That DN that they were letting free was sitting there playing Trey Lance and letting the handoff go. They get into the red zone right after that first TD drive. And now you give that read option look with that Jalen Hurd fly sweep that you talked about, with a nice Charlie Warner basically essentially wrapping around to create that block, and then Trey Sermon there to seal that inside, and Trey's able to walk in. Again, like you talked about the window dressing, just setting something up over and over and over and over again, right? Beating it into a team's head. And then the minute they give you the look that you want, you pull the curtain back and it's like, ha! But it's not this, it's this instead. And their team, you just can't prepare for it. There's too much going on.
Well, that first time that they ran the ball to Raheem Mostert around the outside with Trey in, they pulled both guard and tackle around. And they definitely made it look like it was going to be a designed quarterback run. That defensive end had no choice but to follow the pulling lineman. That is the read you're going to make in that type of situation. That froze him enough to get Raheem Mostert around the outside, and then Raheem Mostert did Raheem Mostert things. The funny part is they run the exact same play again later on, Raheem Mostert gets to the outside, does the stutter step, stiff arms the guy, and gets to the outside. And once again, that defensive end is stuck in no man's land. That is a tough situation when you're supposed to be following the linemen that are pulling because that's your read. But in the same regard, you've got to watch for a running back coming back. It is a different wrinkle than we've seen from anything Kyle Shanahan has done with the 49ers so far. Then later on, when you talked about the one where Hurd's going in motion, not only do they fake the inside give to Trey Sermon, but they also fake to Jalen Hurd. Give you all that look, freezes linebackers. And what we've talked about before, you freeze linebackers for even 1 second. That allows you to make a play and get to the end zone. So it is very well done. It's very well executed. And the fact that they were able to go in and out without a hitch, these quarterbacks were able to go in, execute their plays, and come out. No different than you would have seen from tight ends going in and out or wide receivers or running backs. It was a first look at what Kyle Shanahan ultimately wants to do with these guys, and people cannot grasp the idea, and they cannot get because they've been talked to for how long that it's Jimmy versus Trey. It's Jimmy. It's got to be one. It's got to be one.
They've also been conditioned, right, that the two quarterback system can't work.
Right, but that was a traditional two quarterback system where two quarterbacks were both drop back guys, the same kind of guy. These guys are completely different. This is yin and yang working together, and it works out very nice. Jimmy Garoppolo with a rushing touchdown. Trey Lance with a rushing touchdown. It was a great game plan put together by Kyle Shanahan and the staff. It had to make every single player on that 49ers roster feel good, and this is the inside joke the whole time. Jimmy Garoppolo tells Greg Papa before the game that he's going to play a quarter and a half, and then Trey Lance is going to come in, knowing full well that he's not playing a quarter and a half. They're all having fun with this. They're all going out there and executing the plan. Kyle Shanahan and the 49ers players have all bought in, and they're doing it at a high level. And get ready. This is what you can expect, and Detroit is already scrambling. They got 2 weeks to try to figure out what the 49ers are going to do, and I guarantee they saw nothing that they're going to see in that game. The 49ers are going to do completely different things. The next time they pull, Trey's going to keep, and he's going to run, and it's going to be wicked. So good luck trying to figure it out. And now when you get to put the full offensive weapons around him, right? We had no Brandon Ayuk. George Kittle played one series. You're going to add Jalen Hurd in now sometimes with that first group. It's going to be nasty offense. This offense has a potential to score over 30 points a game and be the most explosive. And we're going to see touchdowns from both quarterbacks this season, all season.
And look, Niners fans freaked out when Jimmy pulled down for the legs. They freaked the frick out. My brother texted me immediately. He just gave me a heart attack, right? I saw some of the Cutback Crew in here talking about already. They were a little worried. $24.6 million down the drain in the Discord as well as things were going on. As Jimmy pulled and ran, that people got a little worrisome as well. I liked seeing that from Jimmy. And Steven asked a little earlier, did we like seeing that from Jimmy, the confidence with his body? You can tell he feels comfortable. This is the first time since last season, before the ankle injury, that this guy feels confident and comfortable with his body. He's not second-guessing anything. He's willing to put the ball down and put his body on the line. We've seen that from Jimmy before. That's not the first time Jimmy's done that. But when Jimmy, last year, when the ankle injury he was playing on last year, he couldn't do those types of things. His body wasn't going to respond the way he needed it to. He's healthy. He's ready. He's confident. He's motivated. And he's bought in. Right, he's completely bought in. They brought him in on that series. Nice little boot out, right, to finish that drive off. He starts to boot out. Everyone starts flowing. Linebackers are flowing. Puts his foot in the ground and just gets there, knowing that he has to get there and has to put this in. Because there's always that little bit of extra, like what if, right? If I don't execute this one this time, right? If we're not able to put this ball in the end zone, maybe next time I don't have those opportunities and those chances because you're going to bring the young guy in Trey and go with a different package and a different look, different personnel to try and punch those in. John Lynch talked about how Trey Lance is bringing out the best of Jimmy Garoppolo. He's not wrong. This competition is making Jimmy play at a higher level. It's also making Trey play at a higher level.
Yeah.
Both of them are bringing the best out of each other, and that's what's great for 49ers fans. Every time they go in, you're going to get the best version of them.
Yeah, you're getting pushed for reps. And Jimmy Garoppolo needs to know that he has to execute on every single play that he can, and that's what he's going out there to do. If he has a chance to finish for a touchdown, he's going to finish for a touchdown. And that's what it really comes down to. His body feels good now, but he had to go up there and finish that. I assume we got a super chat in. He said, Matthew Rowley said, maybe the two quarterback system will work, but let's remember the Raiders played no starters. Also, Trey Lance better figure out how to become accurate. Trey Lance on his first throw was inaccurate, but this is consistent amongst every single game, every single practice. What we've talked about before. let's get him on a rollout on his first pass play, something that he can complete outside the pocket and get a little bit of a rhythm going. That is something he does because he had Jalen Hurd wide open. If he just gets Jalen Hurd the ball, Jalen Hurd's got a lot of room to run. I was very upset. We know that I like Jalen Hurd, and I wanted to see Jalen Hurd get the ball in space and then be able to create with his legs. But overall, yeah, they didn't play their starters. But that wasn't what I was really into because I did realize they hadn't played their starters. What I was more into was the fact that the rhythm that the quarterbacks were playing with as they were going in and out was something that you had to question because it hasn't been done to this level. I know they were pointing back to like the 1950s and all this stuff. Is like, no, but this is a different football. This is the way things are done differently. But I thought the rhythm was there. And I thought overall the way Kyle was he didn't unveil the whole thing. That's what everyone needs to realize. He just gave him a little taste. This was the vanilla version of the Shanna plan.
Absolutely.
And it was executed at a very high level. And the fact that there were no tendencies. There was no exact tendency. It's 4th and 1 on the goal line. Trey Lance should be in, right? No, it's Jimmy Garoppolo. To me, he blew tendencies away, and it made the Detroit Lions think, oh, well, I don't know when each player is going to be in, so now we only can react when they're in.
And there's no rhyme or reason. There's no rhyme or reason to any of it. Like, he was flipping them on first downs. Every first down, he was flipping them in and out. That's not going to happen in the game.
Why
not? Well, maybe it will. Maybe I'm completely wrong on this. Yeah. But my thought process is those are not the times where you're going to do something like that. You're going to potentially do stuff like that, in between personnel shifts and things of that nature, down in distance is where I would think, right, that would be the case. But because Shanahan did that, like you said, the Lions now have to prep for all of it. Yeah. You can't just prep for 3rd and shorts, right, 3rd and longs, 2nd and longs, 1st and 10s for certain looks and certain personnel groups and certain players. Now you have to look for all of it. If there's a first down, they could flip and bring an entirely different personnel group and run an entirely different scheme in terms of like how they want to attack us, right? It can change how they want to attack us instantaneously. And that's great. That's a crazy thought process because as an NFL team, you're already stretched for time when you're preparing week to week for a team. Now, not only are you stretched for time, you're also stretched for packages, personnel groupings, and when it could come.
I think Kyle Shanahan demonstrated that what they do at the quarterback position is going to be less determined on down and distance and more determined on what play and what look they want to run. So that is what they got through and got clear today. It doesn't matter if it's 1st and 10, 2nd and 10. None of that is going to matter. What matters is what look they're trying to get and what they're trying to do with the football. So 100%, this is going to be you better get get ready. You have to prepare. These are the things Trey Lance does. You have to prepare for the things Jimmy Garoppolo does. And until you see one of them on the field, you don't know what to expect. You don't know what you're going to do. So teams are going to have complete personnel groupings that go in and out depending on who is in. You're going to get favorable matchups for Trey Lance in the running game, favorable matchups for Jimmy Garoppolo in the passing game. I think ultimately they can both execute both, and it's going to be fun to watch. I thought Jimmy looked nice, cool, calm, poised. Trey Lance looked very good whipping the ball around. He had some very nice throws. The one to Jalen Hurd on the outside in the numbers where he just put the ball on him. Jimmy had the great one to Trent Sherfield along the sidelines where he worked back towards the football.
Yeah, 2 to Sherfield. That one, the rail route towards the sideline, right, where he goes up on the corner and gets the toe tap you were talking about. And then the one intermediate as well where he goes middle, sits in the zone, and Jimmy puts it up there for Trent Sherfield to go get. Right. Trent looks great, man.
Yeah, he looks like a better version of Bourne, in my opinion. He's more athletic than Bourne, and so far has proved to have more sure hands than Bourne. So if we're worried about losing that production of Bourne, we're going to be okay because thank God for Richie Hightower pushing and getting on a table and saying we need Trent Sherfield, and he came out there and proved that he can actually produce as a wide receiver as well. A guy that you're thinking is a fringe guy of possibly making this roster to a guy that is a dead set top 3 or 4 receiver on your football team. It's nice to see. It's that development. The 49ers are going to have to ultimately think, how are we going to re-sign this guy? They're going to have to go ahead and bring him back in some avenue because they definitely need him on the football team. He's a very talented football player.
Absolutely, he's a talented football player. And Cliff Kingsbury, what in the world are you doing down there? Because I don't know how you could possibly miss on what this guy's shown so far.
Yeah.
I guess there's just too many hands in the cookie jar. But look, we're getting close to here on time for our reaction shows. We haven't even talked anything about the defense,
which we should
at all.
Yeah.
We need to give them some love because they looked fan-freaking-tastic yet again. Whether it was Samson Ebukam in there getting pressure, Javon Kinlaw studding it up against the run and just looking like an absolute monster out there. Marcel Harris looked phenomenal with that first group as well. That linebacker room and the decision with the linebacking core is going to be ridiculously tough.
Maybe worse than the wide receiver or running back room because I think it's more mucked up.
Yeah.
Because you have a bunch of guys that are very talented, very fast, very athletic, can help you on special teams, and then play pretty good in the roles that they play. We saw Hilliard get more of a run, but we saw Sullivan out there making big plays. We've seen Jonas have big games early on. All those guys are together, and along the way, you still have Marcel Harris, who is playing coverage concepts better than any other linebacker that's not a starter on this football team. And then you've got Flanagan Foles, who's an excellent special teams guy, who you know you can count on to be an adequate player. They have big decisions to make. I think, unfortunately, the undrafted free agent guys, they think they can probably just get them to the practice squad, so they're probably going to get cut, but man, did they look good. It was nice watching 58 and 59 completely fly around. Jonas flying around, he looked good too. They've got some development that still needs to happen. Marcel Harris looked very good as a veteran. I thought he probably played his best game overall today, right when you need to play your best game. That was because he got some starting snaps next to All-Pro Fred. It's going to be a tough decision for that linebacker room. I don't think that one's very clear-cut. It's all going to be what they value and who they're afraid to lose. They might not be afraid to lose someone like Flanagan Foles, so they might keep a young guy. That's going to be interesting, though. That's definitely more interesting than I thought it was ever going to be.
Agreed with you there. I didn't think it was going to get this tight and this compact, but I liked a lot of things that I saw from all of them. I thought they all had good performances. They all, pretty much for the most part, were in position and doing what they needed to be doing today. And Steven just said it. Zach Kerr continues to look like an absolute monster.
Yep.
I love everything about this guy, from the pressure that he generates, from the intelligence with which he plays, as well as the celebrations.
Yeah, and he made some absolutely fantastic plays in this game. The spin move was awesome.
Oh, yeah.
He's got the center to help in the inside. He recognizes it, and he makes the move, to the outside with a little spin move, gets up the field and gets the sack. He's way more athletic than you think for a guy his size. He's still a dominant player in the run game. He is a nice addition to this team. I know a lot of people over the last couple of weeks have kind of talked that it was either him or Hurst. I don't think that's the case. I think both of them make this roster because Kerr is a dynamic player. When he's in there for DJ Jones, there's not a huge fall off, and that's what you want from this team. But the defensive line looked great. They're putting pressure on. Another room that is completely just so talented that you're going to have to make some very hard cuts. I wonder how many players they ultimately keep. I've been thinking 10. Could it be 11? I mean, that is really what it comes down to with this defensive line. They're that freaking good.
They're that talented, and John Lynch already said, right, they're not trading anyone. They don't want to trade anyone from that room to anybody. They don't want to deal that out, essentially leaving it up to a bidding war if they cut any of these guys. You're going to have to really, really work for these guys in order to get them there. And look, a couple people just asked about Wisniewski. I know. There's been a lot of Wisniewski distaste for me.
Yeah.
I'm eating crow right now. Mitch Wisniewski is an absolute savage. An absolute savage. Whether it's the coffin corner punt, whether it's flipping the field, he's been working, Ant. He's been working. This is my only concern with Mitch Wisniewski was flipping the field. This dude is flipping the field now. He's flipping the field. The punt at the end of the game from his own end zone, having it land dang near the 20-yard line, and then kick and roll towards the sideline. It was absolutely a thing of beauty. The only thing I want from Mitch Wisniewski now is a little swagger after kicks like that. Give me a little something, Mitch. I need a little bit of the not ego, but just give me something. Give me something to let me know that you're excited about what you just did, because what I witnessed today from Mitch Wisniewski and what I've been slowly seeing him progress and evolve into as a punter is exactly what this team needs in that other third of the game. A guy who can then, from his own end zone, when we have those drives that stall out and the defense is just dialed in, you put that ball on the other side of the field, other side of the 30, and you go, okay, great, good job, your defense. Now your offense has to work for it too.
Yep, this is what I expected from Wisniewski. I've never doubted him for a second. You on the other hand, have definitely...
It was one concern. It was flipping the field, and he's consistently done it for 3 games.
Well, and like I've said, consistently, the offense should be the ones that flip the field, move the football, so that way Wisniewski can do what he does great and try to pin people deep. That is what Kyle Shanahan's offense is supposed to do. That's what they will do now. So now Wisniewski is the perfect punter for what they want to do. Mm-hmm. But it was nice seeing him punt absolutely fantastic today. I thought this was his best game as a pro. And that's a good thing for us. That means he's been really working on his game, making sure he's got the rotation, the spin, the way he needs it to be.
Consistent drop point.
Hey, it's coming off the foot at the right spot.
Absolutely.
It's 100% what you want from a punter. And I thought overall special teams looked very, very good today from all aspects of the game. If there was any questions about special teams, now that we've got the cuts out of the way and we've gotten some of those players gone, you've seen where the talent really is, and all these young players are going out there and making plays. That's the only hope that Jonas Griffith has to making this roster, I think, at this point, is because he was absolutely outstanding on special teams and kick coverage.
He really, really was. It's going to be absolutely difficult, right, to make those decisions with special teams guys and things of that nature. How do we feel about Clinton Dix? Has his moments. He does fine, but I mean, again, I'm not convinced that this guy is the best fit for this team. I mean, the reality of the situation is Tavon Wilson has done the things that he's done in camp. He didn't get a lot of run today. They intermixed him a little bit with Clinton Dix, opposite of Clinton Dix. So I don't think that puts Tavon Wilson in trouble in regards to making this roster. Jimmy Ward not playing because he's on this roster.
Because he's Jimmy Ward.
Yeah. Jaquiski Tart, right, in for a good chunk of the game. And even when he went down with what the injury was and people were freaking out, I saw Rombo flipped out immediately as soon as it happened. And then, Jaquiski Tart comes back in and gets the big stop on third down to force the Raiders punt on fourth. He looks fine. He looks healthy. Talanoa Hufanga looks like a stud. There's your four. Where is there room for Clinton Dix?
Yeah, I think the question is, I wish I could see the All-22 film, right?
That's the only thing.
Because we don't know what they're doing away from the ball. And the fact that you don't see what Tavon Wilson does, usually means he's in coverage in the right spots. He's not getting beat. Has gotten beat a couple of times now in two different games. Now, I would like to see what coverage he was in when that happened, because, overall, you don't know what they're running.
And Tavon Wilson was over the top, too.
But I think he was supposed to be on the other side. He just read the play and went over there.
Agreed.
But makes plays, right? He creates turnovers. So he's in the mix. It was always going to be between and Tavon Wilson. One of those guys was going to get the roster spot, and I think it's razor thin. And we'll just see what the 49ers value overall. As far as skill set goes, I would think it would be Tavon Wilson because we've seen everything that he could do during camp. But that doesn't mean it's going to be Tavon Wilson with the 49ers because they might be looking for other things and things they can do, but we'll see. Whoever doesn't, they're going to try to nail them on the practice squad, which makes me think you would go ahead and keep Tavon Wilson and try to put Clinton Dix on the practice squad. But Clinton Dix has put enough good film out there to be on somebody's football team this year.
Agreed.
So both these guys are going to be playing somewhere. Just one of them is going to be playing in San Francisco because Talanoa Hufanga is not going anywhere.
No.
And Jimmy Ward and Jaquiski Tart are good. And Tart looked very good today in the snaps that he played, and they got him all the way into the third quarter playing key snaps. So he's definitely getting in shape and getting ready to roll. When he got up, I was a little nervous that one time, but he got back in there and was whacking people.
He was. He got right back into it. And look, here's the other good thing for Jaquiski Tart too is they gave him this run, obviously an extended run, because they want to get that game shape back and help progress him forward because he hasn't been doing a whole heck of a lot. He still has 2 weeks. Yeah. He still has 2 weeks to get back into game shape and get himself out in the practice field and doing more things. So I'm not too worried about that at all. And here's the other thing too. Papa talked about this a little bit, and Tim Ryan talked about this a little bit. The fact that Tony Jefferson is a guy that is stashed away on that IR spot that you can actually bring back at some point during the season. So now you still have that depth with a guy like Tony Jefferson still sitting there. So you may not take a chance with a veteran guy like Clinton Dix when you got a guy like Tony Jefferson who could step back in at some point in time.
Yeah, that is a good point. I think that there's interesting. There always has been interesting questions around that safety room. A lot of it because you had the Tart injury, you had the injury to Moore. So there was big decisions to be made, and I think they're going to have to make a good one there, and a big one. I think what is going to make this decision even better and easier is the fact that Talanoa Hufanga has absolutely played fantastic the entire training camp. He has ascended beyond even what I thought he was going to be in his rookie season because his coverage has been there. And that was always the question, was how was he going to be able to handle the quickness of the game? And he looks like he's handling it just fine. Sometimes when you're football fast, it doesn't matter, how fast you are actually, and he's doing that in a big way. So it's cool to see. It's cool to see the 49ers nail on some of these draft picks. Talanoa Hufanga now, I think, is that third guy in the room, which I ultimately thought he was going to be the fourth guy. So he's developing faster than I even thought. So good up on him. Way to be out there and make plays.
And kudos to the scouting department and this coaching staff
100%.
for getting this guy coached up and ready to go and seeing it, right? Because if they don't see it, they don't give it an opportunity or a chance. It doesn't happen. So, I mean, big kudos there. The scouting department has been great in the fifth round, just been great overall in general, especially later in rounds in the draft. And the coaching staff is taking these pieces who we're bringing in who have the potential that these scouts are noticing and, converting it, actually turning it into a reality, taking that potential and making it a reality rather than it just lingering as potential and you don't ever see it. So shout out there, because I mean it takes a village.
It does.
It takes a village, and the village is on point right now.
Oh, 100%. The scouting department working with the front office, and then the coaching staff developing players. These players don't get as good as they are without the great coaching staff developing them, and they've been developing them in a big way. So I'm loving what I'm seeing so far in training camp and preseason. I think the 49ers executed it well. They stayed healthy for the most part. That was always been the biggest question coming out. Can we get through healthy? Now we've got 2 more weeks to get healthy through the camp, but the way that Kyle Shanahan and the training staff has been handling these injuries and handling the players, they have a very good grip on what it takes for each player to stay healthy. The players are very in tune with their bodies, and they're doing a very good job of getting the guys through these little nicks and then getting back on the roster, back on the football field where they can make plays. I'm feeling good about the team going into Detroit, and this only cemented that 100% from game plan, from offense and defense. It was a very fun game to watch, and the 49ers executed at a very high level, and that's the key. It's the execution. It doesn't matter who they're going against, just executing the plays, getting in and out of the huddle, all that looked great.
It was fantastic. It was top to bottom. It was a great performance from this team. I liked what I saw. It definitely made some of the position decisions a little bit tougher, but that's what you want if you're a coach. You want that iron sharpening iron. You want to make the tough decisions rather than the easy decisions. Because if you're making the easy decisions at certain positions that are positions of need or positions of importance within your offense, not as deep, you're not as talented as you think you are. And if it just takes a couple of things going wrong in order for you to be sitting there going, man, I don't have a group that I really fully believe in and fully trust that can get the job done. Kyle Shanahan doesn't have that problem. He doesn't have to worry about that. Today showed that specifically, just with how well certain guys are playing that deep onto the roster. And look, we got to get into some questions, some Q&A here. We'll take about 10 because we want to wrap this up because we don't want to give away too much. We still have a full recap show tomorrow you don't want to miss, on top of Project 53, which you don't want to miss either. That one's always a lot of fun. So from Brad Jones here, what position does Sherfield play on special teams?
Sherfield used to play gunner, and then he was on kick coverage. I don't know how much, even though he's a great special teams player, I don't know how much he's going to actually do that because of his value to the offense. He's valued himself maybe out of playing a lot of special teams, even though he's a special teams ace. So let's see where he ends up, lining up once they've made the cuts. Right now they have plenty of players to play on special teams, but once you cut down, then some of these guys that haven't been getting as many reps in the preseason have to go out there and play. So let's see what he does.
Agreed with you. It's definitely going to come down to and depend on that. But here's the good news: if you don't have to utilize him on special teams, that means he's just sitting there in the wings, right, waiting, and you can always utilize him or throw him in a variety of different spots if the time were ever needed.
I'm guessing he has so much value on special teams that he ends up playing it.
Probably.
Yeah,
I would say that's fair. Also, this goes more to my argument, right, that the Niners don't have a traditional wide receiver 3, and it's a conglomerate of the rest of the wide receiver group, and so therefore you can afford to use him on special teams.
I don't think Kyle looks at receiving core as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. He looks at these are the 6 guys I'm going to use however I want to use them, and that's it. He looks at it more as a grouping than, hey, this is my best guy, that's my best guy. Only fantasy people and fans do that.
I would say the fantasy stands right now.
Yeah,
they're crying that you just said that. They can't believe the blasphemy that just came out of here.
Well, I think about what he's doing with quarterbacks. They're going to really hate Kyle Shanahan this season.
Oh yeah, no, you don't draft. Here's the best part. Trey Lance's ADP right now is like 8th, 9th round in most drafts. Jimmy's is like round 20. They both should be back end. You shouldn't be looking at Jimmy Garoppolo or Trey Lance until like round 17 or 18 of a draft. There's no reason to take either guy because you don't know what's going to happen come red zone time. Any given drive, it's never gonna work out in your favor. Tommy there with the super chat, $2. Mostert proved he's the best running back on the Niners. Accurate.
Very, very, very true.
There's nothing more accurate that's been spoken today.
He's way too explosive. Just absolutely dynamic when he has the ball in his hands. He is a game changer, and you want to get the ball in his hands as many times as you can without completely overwhelming him, his body. And now that you have a bell cow type of back like Trey Sermon and a changeup like Elijah Mitchell and JaMychal Hasty, you don't have to. So he's going to be explosive for his 12 to 15 touches a game. And if he ever needs to go more, they'll use him in that area. But he's going to be dynamic and he's going to make plays.
Absolutely, indeed. Jagged asked, "Hello, TCC family. How's everyone doing? Are we keeping 2 quarterbacks and keeping an extra defensive lineman?"
I don't know if it's going to equate into a defensive lineman. But yes, I think it's going to be 2 quarterbacks. There is an argument for 3, but I think that if you get through those top 2 guys, you're just in trouble anyway. So you might as well try to sneak Suddy to the practice squad. If that doesn't work, You find somebody else. Nick Mullins is out there again. You could go sign him to the practice squad. Josh Rosen, I'm sure, will be available. He's going to get cut by the Falcons at some point, and then he can be added to the practice squad. Josh Johnson, another guy. Because if you get there, you're in an emergency situation. If you go through those top 2 quarterbacks, you're in a world of hurt. You're just bringing some guys in to get you through the season. In fact, you're probably going to get 2 of those guys, so you know you're in trouble already. Sudfeld is not the long-term answer for anything. So no, I think they are going to keep 2, but I don't know if that's the position it goes. If it goes an extra wide receiver, an extra D lineman, an extra linebacker, we shall see. I'm guessing special teams will play into it.
Accurate. That's definitely going to play into it for sure. JLA, Sanu or Jennings, or both of them gone?
Sanu
or Jennings, or both gone. I think he's asking if one of those guys is getting cut or both of them are getting cut. I don't think Mohamed Sanu's going anywhere.
Sanu was listed as a starter today, so if you were going with the way that you work a depth chart, the way that most people are saying that this goes, that would make him wide receiver 3. I fully expected Trent Sherfield to start opposite of Deebo Samuel with Brandon Ayuk being out. But then, he didn't really have a big game at all. Mohamed Sanu didn't have any real plays in this game. He did play all the way into the third quarter, which I thought was interesting. But I don't think he's getting cut. I think Mohamed Sanu is going to be on this football team. And with Jawan Jennings, I don't know. It comes down to him versus Travis Benjamin. That is the real question. What do you value? The size, the ability to catch the ball and convert first downs, or the quick speed and the ability to make plays and take the top off the defense? Kyle Shanahan has to figure out which ingredients he wants in that room, and that's what he's going to ultimately go with. I don't think it's even as much as one guy beat the other guy out or vice versa. It's more, what can that skill set do for the 49ers in situations, and how are they going to be able to use them? Because one thing we know, there's always been, Goodwin and guys like this that are super fast. Travis Benjamin is a more skilled version of that and a more physical version of Goodwin.
Agreed. Robert TV Joseph, this is a great question that you're going to have to wait till tomorrow to get answered. He said, who are your final 8 to 9 D linemen, especially since Willis is suspended for the first 6 weeks? Project 53 releases tomorrow on this channel, so that's when you'll find that answer. We're definitely not going to give that away now.
No, we're not. We're hinting around right now. We have ideas about how our Project 53 is going to pan out, but that's when we're going to give our 53-man roster predictions. Make sure you check that episode out. It will be very exciting. Last year, we were pretty close. This year, I'm hoping to be even closer, but unfortunately, these players are so good and this depth is so good on this roster. I could be horribly wrong at times. I'm just hoping I'm not, because this is a tough decision. I'm glad I don't have to make the overall decision that Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch have to make. I think they'll make the right ones, but how this team is constituted and how many you keep at each position is the key to the whole thing.
Absolutely indeed. Look, chat, it was great. It was a great little reaction. We were able to give you some stuff. We were able to clean up some mic stuff and then get you going on this. We don't want to give away too much, so we're going to wrap it up right here. This was a lot of fun, though. A lot of great things came out of this game. A lot of great performances. A little taste of the Shannon plan. Seeing Jalen Hurd back on the field. Talanoa Hufanga continuing to build on his performances. And the D-line continuing to dominate.
Yeah, 100%. The D-line came out and showed out. The offensive line came out and showed out. I thought overall that those were the glaring, big things that the 49ers did and the strengths of their football team, and they did a very good job. That is definitely what helped the Shannon plan be excellent and work. So it was a good performance by that front seven, which it always is for the 49ers. That's where they've built this roster, and it's very excellent. And I just can't wait to get to Detroit, but I can't wait to get kind of along the way here where we get to break down the 49ers even further, get into these cuts, the ultimately who makes the practice squad, and then then finally get ready for Detroit sometime next week.
Absolutely. Jay Ellie, final cuts, you'll find out tomorrow right here on this channel, my guy. We're not giving anything else away. And Megan said 3 videos tomorrow, and then course corrected to 2. She's actually wrong. It is actually 3. You will have 2 here on YouTube. You will have 1 debuting on Patreon tomorrow as well. That will be the very first episode of Big Yikes. You don't want to miss that. So if you want to watch it, it's exclusive to Patreon. You got to hop over there. Check out the description below. In the description link, we have the Patreon link there. You can go over there, become a member. You can do the simple tier, the base catch tier at $7 a month. Get access to Big Yikes, Cutback in Time, as well as some hangout sessions and things of that nature with us, the Cutback crew, and some cool stuff in Discord. You don't want to miss any of that. Or you can go a little bit deeper and go into the MVP package. It's $10 a month. you get a little bit more. You get fantasy football breakdowns. You get Madden breakdowns and full gameplay, as well as a full Madden playthrough hosted by me with the 49ers. That's a lot of fun as well. Don't forget, in the base tier package too, that catch package at $7 a month, you also get all 22 film breakdowns and previews each and every week. And then if you want to go full crazy, you can become the GOAT on this channel. You go $16 a month. There's a lot of great stuff there, but you get listed at the end of every video, as well as a big thank you and being a big, huge, fat Patreon supporter for this channel, as well as some other things as well.
You also get to be on an episode.
That's accurate. I forgot about that.
Yeah, if you are a $16 patron, you get to come on an episode.
Your guest.
With us.
Yeah.
So
you get to come on, hang out with us, be a guest. So there's a lot of fun stuff over there on Patreon. A lot of different ways for you to interact with the Cutback Crew. But until the next time, everyone, thank you so much for tuning in. Don't forget to hop over into the Discord as well. Make sure Stream Elements gets you that link. But Ant, this was a lot of fun.
It really was, and the 49ers made it fun. It was going to be a lot of fun to talk about. There's going to be so much more coming this week as we get further into this game, further into what the 49ers are planning on doing, 53-man roster, and then ultimately building towards that first week against Detroit. I'm excited for all of it. Make sure you're a member. Make sure you join Patreon, do all that stuff so that way you can get the extra content. I think people really enjoyed Cutback in Time, so make sure you get on that. It's a lot of fun. And the last one we just did was about Joe's final game in San Francisco, where he came in at halftime and absolutely tore it up in 1992. So that was a lot of fun to go over and exciting. And if you're a fan of the Horst, he's on that episode, so make sure you're over there and check that out. It's a lot of fun. But I really enjoyed this recap show, and I can't wait to get into even more stuff as we get into the week.
Absolutely. Tomorrow is going to be a jam-packed day. Don't miss any of it. Cutback Crew, 49ers faithful. Until next time, you stay safe.
Remember, the right way
is always the 49ers way.